Hi friends, brothers and sisters in Christ. Thank you for gathering here today. I want to invite you to close your eyes for just a moment and imagine this. It's late afternoon on a hillside. The sun is beginning to dip toward the horizon. You're surrounded by thousands, men, women, children, all hungry, all weary, and yet all gathered together because of hope. Hope that something miraculous might happen. Hope that someone might change their lives. Now open your eyes. Because that hope, that miracle, is not just a story from 2,000 years ago. It's alive today. It's real. It is the story of Jesus feeding the 5,000. A story of compassion, power, and the boundless abundance that comes from faith in Jesus Christ. Introduction: the miracle that speaks to us all. Why does this story matter so much? Why, out of all the miracles, do we hear so much about this one? Because in every life there comes a moment when we feel empty, when the resources run out, when our strength fails, when we look at our problems, our needs, and they seem overwhelming, so much greater than what we have to offer. But the story of Jesus feeding the 5,000 is a story that tells us when we bring what we have, no matter how little, to Jesus, He can do the impossible. He can multiply it beyond our wildest dreams. He can turn our lack into abundance. He can take our smallness and show His greatness through it all. Let's dive deep into the heart of this miracle, and let its lessons inspire us to trust the power of Jesus Christ in our own lives. Body. The story, the lessons, the power. The account of Jesus feeding the 5,000 can be found in all four Gospels: Matthew 14:13-21, Mark 6:30-44, Luke 9:10-17, and John 6:1-15. This alone tells us how important it is. When all four Gospel writers include the same story, we know it's something we're meant to pay attention to. Let me take you to the beginning. Jesus had just heard about the death of John the Baptist. He withdrew by boat, seeking a quiet place to grieve, to pray, and to rest. But the crowds wouldn't let him go. They followed him on foot from the towns, desperate for his teaching, for his healing, for his love. Matthew 14:14 tells us, when Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, He had compassion on them and healed their sick. Let's pause there. Compassion. Jesus, tired, grieving, wanting rest, looks at the crowd and His heart is moved. That's the first lesson. Jesus sees us. He sees our needs. He has compassion for us no matter how crowded, how noisy, how desperate our lives may feel. As the day wore on, the disciples came to Jesus. "This is a remote place," they said, "and it's already getting late. Send the crowds away so they can go to the villages and buy themselves some food." But Jesus replied, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." Imagine being a disciple in that moment. 5,000 men, plus women and children. Some scholars estimate as many as 20,000 people. That's like filling a small stadium. And you're being asked, with your empty hands and empty pockets, to feed them all. The disciples replied, "We have here only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish." Have you ever felt like that? Like what you have is barely enough for yourself, let alone to help anyone else? Maybe it's your time, your energy, your money, your talent. Maybe you look at your own life and think, "I'm not enough. I can't possibly make a difference." But Jesus says, "Bring them here to me." And that's the turning point. The disciples took what little they had and they put it into Jesus' hands. He told the people to sit down on the grass. He took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and broke the loaves. Then he gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the people. And here's the miracle. They all ate and were satisfied, and the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. From not enough to more than enough. From emptiness to abundance. That's the power of Jesus Christ. What does this miracle teach us? First, Jesus cares about our needs, big and small. He's not just concerned with our souls, but with our bodies, our hunger, our daily struggles. He sees when we're tired, when we're hungry, when we're lost. Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. Second, Jesus invites us to bring what we have. He doesn't ask us to fix everything ourselves. He simply asks us to offer what we can, even when it feels like too little. Our job is to bring it. His job is to multiply it. Third, when we trust Jesus with our little, he turns it into much. He is the God of abundance, the God who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. Fourth, Jesus involves us in the miracle. Did you notice? He didn't just make bread and fish rain down from heaven. He used the disciples. He handed them the food, and they gave it out to the people. He wants to use us to be his hands and feet in this world. The power of Jesus Christ, alive today. Sometimes we read these stories and think, that was then. Things were different. Miracles don't happen like that now. But I am here to tell you, the power of Jesus Christ is alive today. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Have you ever heard stories of modern-day miracles? Of families who didn't know where their next meal would come from, but God provided? Of people who were at the end of their rope, but found strength and hope in Jesus? I have. I've seen it. Maybe you have too. Let me share with you a story, a true story. There was a single mother in our community. She worked 2 jobs, but still struggled to put food on the table. One night, she prayed, "God, I don't know how I'm going to feed my children tomorrow. Please help." The next morning, a neighbor knocked on her door with bags of groceries, saying they felt God put it on their heart to share. That mother wept tears of joy. It wasn't 5 loaves and 2 fish, but it was the same miracle, the power of Jesus Christ providing for her need. Maybe you're facing a challenge right now that feels impossible. Maybe you feel like you have nothing left to give. Maybe you're wondering if Jesus really sees you, if he really cares, if he can really make a difference in your life. The story of the 5,000 says, yes, he sees you, he cares, and he is able. Bringing our loaves and fishes, what does that look like today? You might be thinking, but I'm just one person. What difference can I make? I invite you to think about this. What is your loaf? What is your fish? Maybe it's a kind word, a helping hand, a prayer for someone in need. Maybe it's giving of your time, your talent, your resources, however small they may feel. When you put them in Jesus' hands, he can multiply them beyond what you can imagine. Mother Teresa once said, Not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love. When you help a neighbor, when you encourage a friend, when you pray for someone, when you give a little of what you have, you are part of the miracle. You are showing the power of Jesus Christ at work in the world. The 12 baskets left over, God's overflowing grace. And remember, after everyone had eaten, there were 12 baskets of leftovers. Why 12? Maybe one for each disciple, a reminder that God's provision is not just enough, but more than enough. His grace overflows. When we trust Him, we don't just get by, we are satisfied, and there is abundance left over to share. Philippians 4:19 promises us, "And my God will meet all your needs according to the riches of His glory in Christ Jesus." Conclusion: living in the power of Jesus Christ. So what does all this mean for us today? It means we do not have to be afraid of running out, of strength, of hope, of resources. We do not have to be afraid of not being enough, because Jesus is enough. His power is greater than our need. His abundance is greater than our lack. When we feel empty, we can come to Him. When we feel small, we can offer what little we have. When we feel alone, we can remember that He sees us, He loves us, and He is with us. And when we trust Him with our lives, we can watch as He works miracles, sometimes big and dramatic, sometimes quiet and unseen, but always real, always powerful. The story of Jesus feeding the 5,000 is not just a miracle for the history books. It's a miracle for you, for me, for anyone who dares to trust in the power of Jesus Christ. So let's go out today and bring our loaves and fishes. Let's offer what we have. Let's trust Jesus to do the rest. And let's expect, let's believe that He will turn our little into much, that He will feed the hungry, heal the broken, and fill our lives with His abundance. Because with Jesus, there is always enough. With Jesus, the impossible becomes possible. With Jesus, the power of God is alive and at work in the world and in us. Thank you, and may God bless you with the overflowing abundance of His love, His grace, and His power, today and always. Hi, loved ones. It is a privilege to stand before such a distinguished gathering of professionals, visionaries, and leaders. Today, I want to take you on a journey back in time to a moment of awe-inspiring power, faith, and boldness. But more than that, I hope to leave you with tools and inspiration for your own journey. Let me begin with a question. Have you ever faced a challenge so overwhelming that it seemed as if even the sun itself would have to stop moving for you to succeed? Have you ever looked at the obstacles before you and thought, if only time would stand still, if only I had a little more faith, if only I could command the impossible? Today, I want to talk to you about the power of positive thinking, the power of faith, and the ultimate power, the power of Jesus. And I want to do that by focusing on one of the most remarkable moments in the Bible, the day when the sun stood still at the command of Joshua, a moment made possible by unwavering faith in God's promise. Let me set the scene. In Joshua 10, the Israelites are engaged in battle. The odds are against them. The sun is setting and time is running out. But Joshua, trusting in God's promise, prays this audacious prayer. Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and moon over the valley of Ajalon. And the Bible records, so the sun stood still, and the moon stopped, till the nation avenged itself on its enemies. There has never been a day like it before or since, a day when the Lord listened to a human being. Surely the Lord was fighting for Israel. Can you imagine the courage it took for Joshua to pray such a prayer? Can you imagine the faith it took to believe that God would intervene, not just in a small way, but in a way that would alter the very course of nature? Now, I want you to pause and reflect for a moment. What is your sun stand still moment? What is the challenge in your life, your career, your organization that seems insurmountable? What is that goal that seems just out of reach? My friends, the story of Joshua and the sun standing still is not just a tale of ancient times. It is a powerful message for all of us. It is a story about the power of faith, the importance of positive thinking, and the unfailing strength of Jesus. Let's break this down and see how it applies to us today as professionals, as leaders, and as individuals striving to make a positive impact in our world. 1. The power of faith to command the impossible. Joshua's faith did not come out of nowhere. It was built on a relationship with God, on years of trusting Him through challenges. When the moment came, Joshua did not hesitate to ask for what seemed impossible. Hebrews 11:1 declares, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Positive thinking is not just about wishing things will get better. It is about believing deep down that with God all things are possible. Jesus himself said in Matthew 19:26, "With man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible." This is a lesson for us. In our work, in our families, in our communities, we will face moments when the odds are against us. The market might shift. The project might seem doomed. The relationship might appear broken. But if we approach these moments with faith, if we dare to believe that God can intervene, we open ourselves up to miracles. 2. The courage to ask boldly. Joshua's prayer was not timid. He did not ask for a little help. He asked for the sun to stand still. So often, we limit ourselves by the size of our prayers and our dreams. We settle for small victories instead of believing for transformation. James 4:2 says, "You do not have because you do not ask." Jesus encouraged us in Matthew 7:7, "Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened to you." What would happen if you and I began to ask boldly? What if, instead of resigning ourselves to the way things are, we began to pray for and pursue the impossible? What if we truly believed that the same power that made the sun stand still is available to us today? 3. The importance of positive thinking and perspective. Positive thinking is more than optimism. It is a mindset that shapes our actions, our relationships, and our outcomes. Philippians 4:8 instructs us, "Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, Whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. When we focus on the positive, on what God can do rather than what we cannot, we start to see opportunities instead of obstacles. We become solutions-oriented, creative, and resilient. We become leaders who inspire others to believe and to act. 4. Jesus, the source of our power. At the heart of this story is the power of Jesus. Colossians 1:16 through 17 reminds us, "For in him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible.
He is before all things, and in him all things hold together." Jesus is not just a historical figure or a wise teacher. He is the Son of God, the one who holds the universe in his hands. When we place our trust in him, we tap into a power that is greater than any challenge we face. In John 14:12, Jesus made an astonishing promise. "Very truly I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will do even greater things than these, because I am going to the Father." Greater things, not by our own strength, but by his power working through us. This is the foundation of positive thinking for the believer, not wishful thinking, but confident faith in an all-powerful Savior. 5. Practical steps for embracing sun standstill faith. So, how do we translate this story into our daily lives? Build your faith. Spend time in God's Word. Meditate on His promises. Surround yourself with people who encourage your faith, not diminish it. Pray bold prayers. Don't be afraid to ask God for the impossible. He is honored by our faith and loves to show himself strong on our behalf. Stay positive. Guard your thoughts. When negative thoughts come, replace them with God's truth. Speak words of faith over your situation. Take action. Faith without works is dead. Step out, take risks, and trust that God will meet you. Give God the glory. When you see breakthroughs, remember to thank God and share your testimony. Your story can inspire others to believe. A story of modern faith. Let me share a contemporary story. There was a woman named Sarah. She worked in a competitive field, always feeling overshadowed by others. One day, her company faced a major crisis. A client that made up half of their revenue was about to leave. The future looked bleak. But Sarah remembered the story of Joshua. She decided to pray a bold prayer, asking God not just to save the company, but to help it grow stronger than before. She rallied her colleagues, focused on positive solutions, and worked tirelessly. Not only did the client stay, but new opportunities opened up. Sarah's faith, positive thinking, and willingness to act turned the impossible into reality. We can all be like Sarah. We can all have sun standstill moments in our lives and careers. Conclusion: your sun standstill moment awaits. As we look around this room, I see a gathering of professionals who are shaping the future. You are innovators, problem solvers, leaders. But you are also dreamers, believers, people who can change the world. What is your sun standstill prayer? What is the impossible thing you need to believe for? Is it a breakthrough in your career?
Is it healing in your family? Is it impact in your community? Is it a vision for your organization that seems too big? I challenge you today. Dare to believe. Dare to pray bold prayers. Dare to think positively. And above all, put your trust in Jesus, the one who commands the sun, the one who holds all power, the one who loves you and wants to work through you. Let us be people of faith. Let us be people who believe for the impossible. Let us be people who, when faced with the setting sun and the ticking clock, cry out in faith and see God move. The power of Jesus is not a thing of the past. It is alive and available to us today. As Paul writes in Ephesians 3:20, "Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us." So, go forth, pray, believe, act, and watch as God makes the sun stand still for you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished colleagues, friends, thank you for getting me the honor to speak with you today. It is a joy and privilege to stand before such a dedicated gathering of professionals, people who work hard, strive for excellence, and dream of making a difference in their fields. I know your time is valuable, so I promise to make every minute count by sharing something I believe can change not only your professional journey, but your outlook on life itself. Let me start with a story. Imagine waking up one morning, stepping outside, and seeing a beautiful tree in your yard. This tree has always stood tall, its branches stretching toward the sky, its leaves providing shade and comfort. But one day, you notice something strange. Despite all its beauty, it bears no fruit. Year after year, it remains barren. You water it, tend to it, even speak encouraging words to it, but still, nothing changes. How would you feel? Friends, I believe this image of a fruitless tree is more than just a scene from a garden. It is a powerful metaphor for our own lives. Each of us is like that tree. We are planted in different places, given talents and opportunities. But the real question is, are we bearing fruit? Are we making the impact we were meant to make? Or are we simply standing tall, looking good, but failing to fulfill our true purpose? Today, I want to talk about how positive thinking, inspired by the teachings of Jesus, can transform us from barren trees into fruitful ones. I want to show you, using wisdom from the Bible, how we can move beyond just existing and step into a life of abundance, productivity, and influence. Let us turn to the Gospel of Mark, chapter 11, verses 12 to 14. Here we find a remarkable story. The next day, as they were leaving Bethany, Jesus was hungry. Seeing in the distance a fig tree and leaf, he went to find out if it had any fruit. When he reached it, he found nothing but leaves, because it was not the season for figs. Then he said to the tree, "May no one ever eat fruit from you again." And his disciples heard him say it. At first glance, this story may seem puzzling, even harsh. Why would Jesus curse a tree for not bearing fruit out of season? But, as with many of his teachings, there is a deeper lesson. Jesus was using the tree as a symbol, a living parable. He wanted his disciples to understand that we are called not just to look impressive, but to be effective. Our lives are meant to bear fruit, goodness, kindness, creativity, generosity, and above all, positive impact on those around us. So let me ask you, What kind of fruit are you bearing in your life and work today? Are you making a difference in your profession, your community, your family? Or have you, like the fig tree, become satisfied with just having leaves, just going through the motions? The theme of bearing fruit runs deep throughout the Bible. In John 15:5, Jesus says, "I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing." This verse reminds us that fruitfulness comes not from our own strength, but from being connected to a greater source, from drawing inspiration, hope, and power from faith and positive thinking. But what does it mean, in practical terms, to bear fruit in our professional lives? It means using our skills and talents not just for personal gain, but for the greater good. It means leading with integrity, serving others, and cultivating a spirit of excellence in everything we do. It means choosing positivity, even when circumstances are tough. Let me share a story to illustrate this. I once knew a business leader, let's call her Maria, who faced enormous challenges in her company. Sales were down, morale was low, and her team felt defeated. Many would have given up or started blaming others. But Maria chose a different path. Each morning, she would gather her team and read a verse from the Bible, Philippians 4:13. "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." She encouraged her colleagues to see problems as opportunities, not obstacles. Slowly, the atmosphere began to change. People started bringing new ideas to the table. Teamwork improved. Productivity soared. Within a year, the company not only recovered, but reached new heights. Maria's positive thinking, rooted in her faith, transformed not just her business, but the lives of everyone around her. This is the power of bearing fruit. It starts with a mindset, a decision to see the best in ourselves and others, to believe that change is possible, to trust that our efforts matter even when results are slow to appear. But let's be honest, staying positive is not always easy. Life throws us curveballs. Projects fail, relationships strain, and sometimes, despite our best efforts, we feel like that barren tree, waiting for a breakthrough that never comes. In those moments, it is tempting to give up, to settle for less, or to hide behind a facade of busyness without real progress. Yet the Bible reminds us that fruitfulness is a process, not an event. In Galatians 6:9 we are told, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." In other words, keep sowing seeds of kindness, hard work, and positive thinking. The harvest will come, even if it takes time. So, how can we cultivate a mindset that bears fruit, especially as professionals? First, by practicing gratitude. It's easy to focus on what's missing or what's wrong, but gratitude shifts our attention to what we have and what is possible. Every day, take a moment to count your blessings, to thank God for your skills, your colleagues, your opportunities. Gratitude opens the door to creativity and resilience. Second, by embracing challenges as opportunities for growth. In James 1:2-4 we read, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds,
because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Every problem you face is a chance to learn, to adapt, and to become stronger. Don't be afraid of failure. It is often the soil in which the greatest fruits grow. Third, by investing in others. Fruitful trees don't keep their fruit for themselves. They share it. In your workplace, look for ways to mentor, encourage, and support those around you. Celebrate their successes. Lift them up when they struggle. In doing so, you multiply your own impact and create a culture of positivity. Fourth, by staying connected to your purpose. Remember why you do what you do. Passion is the fertilizer of productivity. When you align your work with your values and beliefs, every task becomes meaningful. Every challenge becomes a stepping stone. Finally, by renewing your mind daily. Positive thinking is not a one-time event. It is a daily discipline. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Start each day with words of hope and encouragement. Feed your mind with uplifting thoughts. Surround yourself with people who inspire you. Over time, your thinking will shape your actions, and your actions will shape your outcomes. Let me pause for a moment and ask, what fruit do you want to see in your life this year? Is it greater success in your career? Better relationships? More peace and joy? Whatever it is, remember that the seeds you plant today will determine the harvest you reap tomorrow. Start with small steps. Speak words of life to yourself and others. Refuse to let negativity take root. Choose faith over fear, action over apathy, hope over despair. To drive this point home, let me share one final story from the Bible. In Matthew 7:17-20, Jesus says, "Every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. Thus, by their fruit you will recognize them." Our lives are not judged by our intentions, but by our actions. The world is watching not just what we say, but what we do. Will we be known for leaves or for fruit? In closing, my friends, I urge you, do not be content with just looking good or sounding good. Strive to be fruitful. Let your work, your words, and your life be a source of blessing to others. Remember that every tree, every person was created to bear fruit. And with the help of faith, positive thinking, and daily effort, you can and will make a lasting impact. As you leave here today, carry this message in your heart. Be the tree that stands tall, not just in appearance, but in substance. Be the one who turns opportunities into outcomes, challenges into breakthroughs, and dreams into reality. The harvest is waiting. Go and bear much fruit. Thank you, and may God bless you abundantly on your journey.